All right, we are live here on TikTok, waiting for people to join in. All right, we are live here on TikTok, waiting for people to join in. Waiting on some guests. TJ at the Plumber at YouTube. This will be up later tonight or tomorrow when I get everything uploaded. Now we have a few people starting to trickle in here. There we have Donald Trump's military parade. A lot of things we can be talking about as we are waiting for people to kind of join in here. So, a lot of things we can be talking about as we are waiting for people to kind of join in here. So, with that tragedy that happened in Minnesota, you have something that could have been prevented, potentially. Now, no guarantees of that, obviously, because every situation's different. We don't know what intel they had ahead of time. When you find out that the Center for Prevention and Partnership, the DHS division that is in charge of working with you know, see if I can get my connection a little better here. There's TJ, my good moderator. And it was his idea to be doing this. There's TJ, my good moderator. And it was his idea to be doing this. He'll probably be joining here shortly. But, and there is TJ.
Yo.
And there is TJ.
Yo.
Hear ya.
Okay, good.
Now let's see if we actually get any people joining in. We only have a few right now.
Hold on. I'll fix that.
All right. We got a couple things we can talk about today. We got the tragedy in Minnesota, which I haven't heard Mike do anything about that yet. I'm sure he's got something out there, and I'm sure he's got a lot of thoughts.
He's going to do it live tomorrow. He was somewhere late today, so he couldn't. He was going to do it tonight, but it ended up that he had to be somewhere, so he said tomorrow he's going to do it live.
I think I'll be free for that one, so maybe I'll jump in on there too. But did you see the video I did on it? Oh, I've done a couple.
Yes.
Apparently, with the Center for Prevention and Partnership, the DHS division that's about working with other agencies and making sure that information shared and trying to prevent things like this ahead of time that the Trump administration gutted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hilarious that Donald Trump totally caved on mass deportations. Mass deportations are over as of effective today.
Well, I saw he said the thing the other day about ending up what was it, backing off the farming deportation, saying, oh, they're bad for the farming industry, things like that. But how else?
It's not just farming; it's hospitality and everything. We're talking about millions of people, and so basically, it's ineffective. The whole mass deportation thing is done.
I wonder if he's backing off of it not because it's ineffective, but because he's running out of money. They don't have, ICE was going to be out of budget by the end of this month, I think, for the year.
It could be.
Gallifrey says 11K for his parade. Yeah, I heard it was barely a 10,000 people, maybe 20 at the high end. And they were expecting 200,000. And he, again, just gets embarrassed. Now, he was too busy enjoying the adulation of the military and finally getting that military parade he's wanted since his first term.
Right.
But once he finally realizes what the crowd size is, how much ketchup is going against the wall?
Oh, it's like Heinz is going out of business, bro.
Well, actually, it might save him.
Oh,
You know,
yeah,
how much he's got to spend to go buy it all.
true. That's hilarious.
And Gallifrey says they are saying 11 million for all of the peaceful protests around the rest of the country. So he barely gets 11K. The rest, like, there's 11 million on the other side. And he didn't have any idea that these protests were even going on. You know, from what we're hearing, his supporters and the people around him are keeping it away from him. They're not telling him the truth.
No. Oh, Mr. Suave's here. Good.
Yeah, we're picking up a few people anyway. Uh,
I'm inviting them.
you're inviting the regulars. Got it. Uh, Mr. Suave says we had almost 20K in Bellingham, Washington. Yeah, that's what you're hearing. Gallifrey says Aaron Parnas just posted a video about how this demonstration by us will go down in history. Oh, the history books are going to, be amazing to read about how this was handled, how peaceful it was. I mean, those of us on this side of the political spectrum, we're going to be on the right side of history when this all goes down.
Right.
I mean, so far it's playing out kind of like I thought. He's failing at every turn. Everything he tries to do, he fails. The courts tell him no, and even when he wins at court, it's small things like returning the military back to Governor Newsom. He he won the appeal or got a temporary stay for 4 days. That's all he got, and then they're going to hold a hearing, and then probably by the end of Tuesday they're going to have their results, and he's probably going to lose again.
Well, he's doing what he always does. He loses at every turn. So,
Yep.
every single time he tries something, he loses. He lost today.
Yeah.
What I sent. Oh, I didn't send you the picture. I sent a bunch of people the picture of his salty look on his face. He looked all. Actually, I think the caption I put on it was "Poor birthday boy. No one came to his parade."
No.
And
Mr. Suave says best thing about today is it was non-violent. I would agree with that.
yeah,
Hardly any
millions.
violence. I heard of a few incidents, but mostly it was on their side of the aisle. They were the ones escalating, or
Yeah,
the one guy going around. I don't know if you saw the video. He was some guy from South Florida, and both Tizzy and somebody else did a video on him where he's like, "Yeah, if you're blocking my road, I've got the right to run you over because the
I
law
saw
says
that.
so."
Yeah, I saw that.
You
He's
know.
absolutely wrong about that.
Well, I think what he's talking about is something DeSantis just put out as some kind of a executive order for Florida or something. Like
Yeah,
it's not an actual like law.
no,
It's something DeSantis was trying to do.
it's some kind of premise about if there's a riot, you have the right to escape it in your vehicle, and you can, you know, not abide by traffic law or some shit. But it doesn't have anything. You can't just run people over and kill them. It's not a license to kill. You know,
No, it's
unalive,
not.
unalive. I said that
Yeah,
wrong.
but then when he comes around and he says that, he says, as Tiziant pointed out, he goes, "You just made it sound like, uh, you know, what was it? Premeditation. If you get in that situation and you run somebody over, this video will be proof that you wanted to do it. They have been wanting, screaming, begging for a fight for years now.
Yeah. And Gallifrey brought up something too about that sheriff in Florida that was running his mouth about
Oh yeah.
talking about unaliving everyday Americans.
If he'd been anywhere but a safe red county, he'd been out on his ass, you know,
Yeah.
quick, fast, and in a hurry.
If he would have done that in Chicago, he'd be in the alley getting tuned up.
Well, yeah. Chicago PD probably would have arrested him even though he's law enforcement and said, "You're making threats." End of story.
Absolutely.
But but they've been spoiling for a fight, and part of it has to do with ever since the South lost the Civil War, they have been spoiling for a rematch. They think the South is going to rise again, and they're going to recreate the Confederacy because that worked so well the last time.
Right.
And it also ties a little bit into religion because they have been told, and I grew up and I went to Catholic school. You know, you are kind of taught that you're persecuted as a Christian, even though it doesn't happen in almost any Western society, maybe in the Middle East and the Far East, but it doesn't happen around here. They're the ones doing the persecuting, but they believe that they're still facing the same persecutions that they were in the, 100s, 200s, 300s.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it really is silly.
Mr. Suave says like 10K marched on Mar-a-Lago. Yeah, wish Dottie Boy would have been home to see it.
Yeah, he had a sourpuss in D.C. today, so JD saw the picture that I sent.
JD says, I saw people were giving them roses and stuff, referring to Chell saying we had the National Guard, LAPD, and the LA County Sheriff joining in the protests. Peter says the South is broke. With what money will they do it? Certainly not from California. Yeah, they don't realize how broke they are. They think the roles are reversed. They think California's more dependent federally than they are. They don't. It is amazing how clueless these people are.
Oh, California is like it's like the 7th biggest economy in the world.
I thought it was 5th, but whatever. Same thing.
Either
they
way,
can stand on their own,
right?
Without the rest of the nation. But they really believe, a lot of them do, that all the red states contribute, all of them pay way more, and that blue states just take. And this has been going around since the 80s, since Reagan.
Yep.
And, they made up a hypothetical situation with Reagan about the welfare queen who, made out big money living on welfare, food stamps, and all sorts of government assistance. And that narrative hasn't gone away. So they believe that everybody in blue states is that kind of a situation where they're just taking advantage of the system. But in their states that are federally dependent and need the assistance, and the people that are on it, well, clearly, we need it. We can prove it. We're entitled because we know where we stand. Everybody else is screwing the system. It is ridiculous.
Yep. Look, we got 68 people in here. That's good.
Way up from the 4 that we're in just 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, definitely. Make sure you double tap that screen and like this live.
JD says there were a few thousand people in Bloomington, Illinois, in red downstate, yeah, her Des Moines here was, people came out.
Peter wants to join. That's up to you.
Um, yeah, we had tons of just what was it, 2,000 different protests nationwide, something like that, maybe more.
2100.
20, was it 2,100? When I saw something yesterday, it was at 1,500. Lady Hawk is asking, is Mike okay? As far as I know, I think
Mike.
he was just
Yeah,
boomer.
Mike's fine. He wanted to do a live tonight, but he was running a little late with I think he was doing a family thing. I don't know that for all certainty, but it sounded that way. And he was going to do a live, but then he said, I'm not going to get home till late, so maybe we'll do it tomorrow. And I said, okay.
And we might see him pop in and joining this one too yet. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. He drops in sometimes.
Yeah. JD says latest numbers say 11 million people out there today. Yeah, 11 million. And Donald Trump barely got 11,000 for his parade. That cost $45 million. And that counts apparently the cost of cleaning up the roadway and, repairing all of the damage done because guess what? Tanks aren't designed to run on civilian roads. Who would have guessed?
Yeah, well, I was watching a little bit of footage from some of the tanks moving around, and they definitely damaged the asphalt as they were going down the road because tanks weigh a lot, like a lot, and asphalt's not really designed to take that kind of weight. So they
Jamie
were.
says, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, JD says, was the road damaged? I haven't seen anything about it. I mean, I know there was money in the budget to repair the roads because this is one of the reasons he didn't get his military parade during his first term. They talked him out of it because they could already tell, they knew what kind of damage it would cause to the roadways because tanks are heavy.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I was looking at some of the footage, and there is impressions when the tanks went through. There's impressions on the asphalt, so it did damage the roadway. To what extent, I don't know that. Is it like acceptable until they repave it? Maybe. But I don't know.
Peter says Constitution Avenue sustained approximately 16 million in damages. Yeah, 16 million in damages just to make Donald Trump feel better. And it just happens to be that his birthday coincided with the 250th anniversary of the military, the 250th birthday. And it is actually historically accurate. On June 14th, 1775, the first or second Continental Congress passed an act establishing the first trained military. That's what they're celebrating.
Oh wow! Look, we're getting suppressed.
Again?
Yes.
Oh, go figure. It's TikTok doing its thing.
Yep.
Charles says, just looked it up. 62 tons is the average tank. Yeah.
62 tons. That's
134,000 pounds.
124,000 pounds.
Yeah. Yep. The roads are not designed for that much weight in one spot. It isn't.
Oh, JD's got a good point. We're going to talk about how great the TikTok shop is. I buy lots of stuff on the TikTok shop. We love the TikTok shop, and we'll just, get on there, buy lots of stuff on the TikTok shop.
I get the invites all the time to join, and I've yet to do it. But Did you see the? He got upstaged too by the guy from Maryland. Brought in the
I,
8 foot
I'm
statue
gonna,
of Donnie on a toilet.
I'm gonna be what at the actual event.
It was at the counter protest at the No
Oh,
Kings protest in D.C. that wasn't actually planned to protest the military parade.
I missed that. I didn't see that.
Yeah, I heard about that. Apparently, Donald Trump just keeps getting embarrassed. I'm sure if he saw it, he's going to be pissed. Of course, he's probably going to want the guy arrested. That's just who he is.
Was it a golden toilet?
I'm not sure. Wouldn't surprise me if it was painted gold.
Well, it has to be. I mean, if it's Trump, it has to be gold.
Yeah.
Lots of people are talking about TikTok Shop. Lots of people are talking about TikTok Shop.
Yeah, I see that now. But yeah, this military parade, good lord. Now, part of it I was kind of interested in seeing was the we're going to have some of the historical uniforms and things like that. As somebody who likes history, I was interested in that, but we had no need for this kind of parade. Typically, we only do military parades after we come back from a successful war. I think the last one that happened was 91 under Bush Sr. after Desert Storm.
Peter said we had a 60-foot inflatable of Trump in a diaper with shit smeared on it. In D.C.? Was that in D.C., Peter?
Oh, wherever it was, that's amazing. And unfortunately, Donald Trump's people are going to keep him from seeing anything about it. They're going to keep telling him, everything's okay, but it reminds me, I guess, a little bit of World War II when Japan finally fell and they were talking to the emperor. He had no clue how bad the war had actually been going for Japan. His generals weren't telling him.
Right. Well, that's exactly what they do with Donald Trump. They can't tell him bad news because there'll be a catch-up hurricane in the Oval Office. They can't tell him any of that shit. He
Right.
had no idea. He had no idea about No King's Day. He knew nothing about it because they can't tell him anything like that because he'll go apeshit on them.
JD says White House is claiming 250,000 people showed up for his parade.
Yeah,
It was
right.
more like 11,000. Now, there might have been 250,000 tickets reserved.
Right. But it was all
But,
Democrats that reserved it.
well, there was a big movement here on TikTok to reserve tickets and not go. That's part of the reason why a lot of his rallies were partially empty. And
Right.
I think that did lull us into a little bit of a false sense of security going into the election. But it's very clear, whatever popularity he had, he's losing it day by day. There's going to come a point when Republicans are going to be left with no choice but to turn against him.
Peter said that inflatable was in L.A.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. Peter also said that's why they advertised on Craigslist to give tickets for free. Yeah, they were trying to drum up support. Supposedly, there were also ads on Craigslist. Whether they were real or not, I don't know. Talk about paying people in crypto to show up for Donald Trump. Paid supporters.
Yeah, crazy.
Trucker T says more people watched the XFL championship game than went to that dumb parade. Probably. Well, did you hear about Fort Bragg when he had the crowd behind him of all the military people, of all the soldiers? that they were handpicked. They screened everybody that was there for political allegiance and the right look.
Right. Eric, bring up Trucker T.
Let's see. Let's see. Sure, why not? Gotta figure out how to do it, but sure.
There you go.
Oh, you did it, brother. What's going on?
Hey, Trucker.
What's up, Trucker?
Hey, I'm one of the ones that's watching the XFL championship game, by the way, and there's more than 10,000 people here. And to put that in perspective, nobody watches the XFL, and I mean nobody. So
I will admit I haven't watched the XFL since it came back, but I watched the first season way back in the 90s. I liked
Exactly.
it back then.
So, yeah, no, this whole thing, I just got off another live where I kind of got into my feelings a little bit because I heard these guys dogging the troops who were at that parade. And
What?
yeah, I had to let them know, hey, listen, it's not an illegal order to march in a parade, right? And these guys are faced with the dilemma of, hey, do I march in this stupid ass parade, which I really don't want to, or do I get court-martialed and lose all my pension and all my benefits? Right. So each and every one of them did it begrudgingly and marched through the. Did you see how sloppy it was?
It was slow.
Oh, yeah.
It was so because they didn't give two shits, right?
Yeah.
They were just like whatever, da da da, and they moved on. They didn't want to be there no more than we want to be there, but they had to.
Donnie looked so sad while he was sitting there.
Well, when he was awake, yeah. Half the time he was sleeping.
You brought up a good point, Trucker, about the benefits and everything that they would lose if they disregarded those orders.
Exactly.
They would lose their pension. They would lose. There's so many things that they would lose on the civilian side after they're out.
Exactly.
And depending on how you get, if they gave them any sort of a court martial and a discharge, anything bad, it affects your life the rest of the way
The
through.
rest of the way forward. Because now, okay, you've been in there 19.5 years. You got 6 more months to go, and then all of a sudden you're tasked with this dumbass parade, and now you got to be like, oh shit, I'm not going. Then it's like, wait a minute. House, car, health care, all of that stuff, get into come into play. Right. They can defy illegal orders, but marching in a parade is not illegal. That's just
Yeah.
You can go, but you don't have to give a fuck about it.
bingo. Did you see them? Like
Yeah.
none of the left rights were in sync. Nothing. Which just this dumb dude with his head stuck out of a tank, and it's like, what the fuck was that?
Because they know it's some Kim Jong-un shit. You know what I mean? Like, that's what they know it is. It's absolute bullshit.
PJ, we look more like Barney Fife today than Kim Jong Un.
Oh,
let me
fuck
tell you.
yeah.
And I would have loved to have seen what this parade would have looked like if they would have still done it. Say Kamala Harris had won the election. I bet you we would have looked like an actual pristine military.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't even have the planes fly over. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Right.
The whole thing was doing.
Somebody I saw, I forget what creator it was, but I saw something that was really interesting today, is that they brought up the fact that the different anniversaries for the different branches of military, the Air Force, the Marines, blah, blah, blah. I guarantee you that when those come around, there's not going to be any parade.
Oh, you're probably right. He probably only focused on this one because it happened to coincide with his birthday.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
he can make it about him. Everything with Donald Trump is about him in one way or another
Right.
because he's a malignant narcissist.
Yeah. It will never be another parade like this.
Hell no.
No.
Hell no.
Well, and
Hell,
tomorrow the narrative will be, hey, it was a big, beautiful parade. Thousands and thousands upon thousands showed up.
hell to the no. Is that ever going to happen again?
Yeah. I mean, he may try to get another one with one of the other branches, but I doubt any. I bet the people around him talk him out of it. And it's funny watching the people on the right try to justify spending the money on this parade while simultaneously cutting funding from, or trying to cut the funding from PBS and NPR and
But,
USAID and all those other things in the guise of cutting waste, fraud, and abuse.
but Eric, I don't think he will because A, this one was a failure and he looked like a total imbecile. And two, like it's not going to coincide with anything for him. So he's not going to do it because it's not going to be about him.
Well, he may want to, just because, again, especially if he's got a perception that he's looking weak. He may want to do it because he thinks using the military makes him look tough and strong. But they'll talk him out of it because of budget constraints and things like that. They'll try to divert his mind away from it. But he thinks using the military makes him a tough guy. That's
Yeah,
why he
but
sent the guard into
we didn't
LA.
look
That's
so
why
tough
he
today,
activated the
Eric.
Marines.
Yeah,
We didn't look tough at all today. We looked like imbeciles.
right. And Trucker would know he's a vet.
Yeah, I mean, listen, when I, and I'm going back 34 years, when I graduated AIT out of basic training, we had to do a show, right? We had to put on our best, our dress blues and all that, and do the same marches and drills and rifles and all of that. We practiced that shit for about 2 months, and it was crisp, it was sharp, and this was just at Fort Benning, Georgia, not at Washington D.C. in front of the president. These guys looked like they just got off the Greyhound bus, no food, no sleep, no water, and had to walk a straight line. That's what it looked like.
That's back when
They
you had hair.
probably did.
Back when you had hair, motherfucker.
I had a fro. Because that was back in the 80s. Yes, I had a nice little fro.
Oh, I mean, if you look at what they're doing to the guard that they activated out in LA, no arrangements for them, no food lined up, no water lined up, none of that stuff, none of the logistics dealt with.
No, sleeping on the
Sleeping
floor.
on the floor. So these guys showing up to march in this parade, yeah, they probably showed up hungry, tired, thirsty, the works, because they don't. We got the DUI hire Pete Hegseth running the DOD.
Right.
It is ridiculous. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, for sure. It's sad. It's just sad. The whole thing was sad. I mean, you can't describe it any way but sad.
Pete Hegseth don't even know how many naval ships China has, or how many we have, or how many commercial ships went through them. Yeah, I mean, this guy is a total waste of space.
Right?
Well, he was asked how many, was it generals and admirals that they had fired since he took over, and he couldn't come up with a number.
Didn't know.
It was many, many.
It was like 7 or something. He didn't know.
The guy said, no, it was 8. Oh, okay, yeah, 8. Every answer was an open-ended answer, right? Well, they have a lot and growing. No, they have 347. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fucking moron.
The questions, from what I've seen when they ask him, it's very specific stuff where he should have, for somebody in his position, he should have definitive answers. It's not like,
Right.
it's not an opinion answer where you can just say whatever you want. If they're asking for numbers, things like that, it shouldn't be a problem. But when you have somebody so grossly incompetent, somebody grossly unqualified, whose only real reason for being in charge of the DOD is that he said nice things about Donald Trump on Fox News.
And he's got
That's
nice
it.
hair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
Eric,
it.
he had one answer that was almost correct. They asked him, how many naval ships do we have, or something like that. He says, it's south of 300. That's what I know. And the guy was like, yeah, it's 296, so you're close.
You know, that reminds me of the debate between Barack Obama and Mitt Romney in going up to 2012.
Right.
And Mitt Romney's like, well, you know, we got fewer ships than we've ever had before. And Obama hits back goes, yeah, we got fewer bayonets and horses too. What is it? What do you mean?
Exactly. That's hilarious.
Oh my God, that's priceless. I love that. This whole thing, I don't know, bro. I just been out here shooting them down, well, pewing them down over our vets because I really feel bad for them. You know what I mean? I really do.
It's a sad state of affairs. I mean, it really is to watch these guys suffer through this fucking bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They obviously didn't want to be there. You know, that's how they acted, you know?
That's what I was waiting to see before I stood up for them. I wanted to see what the alignment looked like, right? You know, how they marched, how they stepped. Were they like gung ho to do this thing, and was they just knocking it out of the park? No, fuck no. They didn't give two shits. You had one guy walking around with a drone. It's like, what the fuck? What are you doing with a drone, bro? In your hand. Drones are supposed to fly. So if you're going to be doing it, have it fly above your head or follow you or something. But no, he's just holding it in his hand.
You know, just a thought I had as you were talking about how lackadaisical the marching and everything was and how bad it looked. It makes me really wonder, you know, if those potential illegal orders were to come down now, is this a sign that they would defy them? That there would be no enthusiasm to follow this guy and this administration?
100%.
If the illegal orders come down, would the military back their oath?
I think they will. If you saw what I saw today, I mean, hell, when we marched and we lined, if it was 100 of us, if it was 2 of us, if it was 2,000 of us, they said we only want to hear 2 steps.
Right.
Right? I heard 178 steps. They were fucking marching today. There was no left, right. No. And another thing I noticed, like we had to get real close. They call it heel toe, right? My toes to his heels to their toes. They were so spread apart that none of this made sense to me. And I'm like, what in the fuck is going on? None of this shit is right. None of it.
Well, could they have been that spread out to? Because somebody earlier in the comments said the tanks were spread way out to make the parade seem bigger. Could that have been part of it? Is that they
could have
stretched
been because when they figured
the army out farther to, make it look like they had more people there?
You know what? I would have to agree with that because, yeah, I didn't think about it in that way, but yeah, they could have very well done that. To give a ruse that, hey, look how big our parade is. But if you look at the North K parade, their shit is tight, and they've got a lot of it in it. They got different colors and people wearing different stuff. It's perfect.
Yeah, but they have to be because otherwise they get executed. So
True. Well, if ours is not perfect, they just don't get the free, fast food and a soda.
right.
Yeah. Speaking of making things look sharp and being correct, I know it was a movie, but a little while ago I watched the 6888, the only all women African American unit to serve overseas. That movie on Netflix, that Netflix special.
Yes.
They showed them marching through London, and they, of course, given the times and everything, they had to be historically accurate, or they had to be perfect. They couldn't be out of step or anything because they were set up to fail. And you watch the movie, they were in perfect rhythm. Like you said, you hear 2 steps, everything done in perfect unison. Like, it looked crisp, it looked smooth.
That's my point.
And
That's my whole entire point. None of this was crisp. None of it was smooth. It was just whatever. And Oliver's mom, I know that fast food and soda was for the paid watchers, but I guarantee you our soldiers got a cheeseburger as well.
Hilarious.
probably. I mean, they only get cheeseburgers though, while Dottie got the Big Mac.
Extra sauce.
Extra sauce.
Yeah, probably 3 of them in a fillet of fish.
Ew.
Did anyone see that that TikTok about it? I forget who put it on, but it was like something about how Donald Trump has screwed people over for so many years, and he's got served all these meals and all the fluids that have been put into his meals over the course of years. Did you guys see that?
No, but I can just about imagine where you're going with this, and
I haven't seen it, but I'm on the same road with Eric. I can only imagine where you're going.
Like how he's mistreated people for all these years. Just imagine the food he's been served.
Ew.
I'm thinking Super Troopers at this point.
Hey, yes, exactly.
Well, TJ, that'll explain the 2 colostomy bags he's got. He's got one on each leg.
Right. Exactly.
Ew. Can you imagine changing that bag?
Ugh.
You couldn't pay me enough.
Somebody has been changing that bag for years. Trust me.
Right.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm just saying you couldn't pay me enough. Not for him.
If that's
Yeah.
true, then the pen stock is way down.
Okay, so I always wondered why, and this is going to sound weird, but wondered why the front of his pants looks so weird. You know what I mean? Like, why is it extra bulgy? Well, he's got that bag, and he's got these tubes that are feeding down from that or feeding up into it. One of the two is disgusting. Did you see, TJ? Please tell me you saw this
I saw it.
at the MMA fight, right? Whatever that stuff is. He was holding up the belt.
Right?
A young lady behind him holding her nose. Did you see that?
Yes.
Please
Yes.
tell me. Oh my God.
Well, that leads me to believe that it's diapers and then a colostomy bag, because the colostomy bag is sealed and you wouldn't really notice that, right?
Maybe it's both, TJ, because he has the tubes, right? You saw the tubes on the back of his pants.
But they're saying that's a catheter, not a
Oh, a catheter. Okay.
yeah.
Something's
way.
going on.
I think that he probably had a shitty diaper. Normal. His diaper is usually, full because he gets hit with every fucking thing.
Oh my God.
So he shits his pants constantly. And then the catheter was the other thing. That's what everyone was talking about, is the catheter.
Oh,
Well, somebody was speculating that it might actually be for leg braces to help with his lean, because he leans at such a steep angle.
Well, yeah, because he wears like 7-inch lifts. How could you not lean forward if you have like motherfucking 7-inch lifts?
Well,
I mean, come on now.
Now, I've seen some people who are dementia specialists talking about it, and that the angle of his lean, the way he leans forward, is a potential sign of dementia.
Yeah, that could be.
Gigi said it's both. So it's the diaper and catheter or whatever the fuck he's got going on.
See, it ain't no gangsta lean.
No.
It's my diaper's full lean. As you can
And this-
tell, Eric, I don't like the guy, right?
I never got that impression. I thought you were his biggest supporter.
Just want to make sure we're on the right side of history here.
Oh yes. I could only imagine though what history would have looked like if our modern technology had been around in 1930s, 1940s, and what the everyday German people would have said, back then. Would they have been shit talking like we are now?
No.
Well,
Well,
no.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I answered that a little too quick. I don't know.
I mean, given this level of freedom where you've got, some anonymity by talking online and all sorts of things, maybe.
Yeah, but you know what? Maybe they were like passing those little football things that we used to make. With the like fucking.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Those paper things.
Yeah, that you flick in class and yeah.
No.
Yeah.
The God damn it, what is it? Like it was a little like fourfold thing where you had like numbers on it and then you open it up.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how they were like passing their information.
I got you. And you want to know another thing that caught my attention, and this goes to his dementia and his thought ability, right? He keeps saying, "Make America great again, make America great again." He wants to take us back to the 1930s and 40s. He had the soldiers wearing turtle helmets. Did you notice that? The turtle shells, as opposed to the Kevlar, right? We haven't worn the turtle shells since World War I, World War II. It's all Kevlar now. Why would he make them wear those? I don't understand that.
That is weird. Why?
Well,
I don't know.
I know there was something about he was trying to show the uniforms and some of the stuff that we used during World Wars I and II to kind of celebrate the fact that we won both those wars. But yeah, it just the whole thing is weird.
Yeah. If you're going to showcase your best and brightest, right now, I'm not putting on a turtle shell because those things exploded my brains. You know what I mean? I'm gonna wear that Kevlar that protected my brain.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe I'm just Oliver's mom says uniform throughout the ages. Well, that's just the Trumpiest thing to ever happen. And you can tell that these guys are not very smart.
Yeah, it's definitely those shows that at least even the handpicked soldiers that they got to do this, their hearts weren't in it. They weren't proud to be doing what they were doing. They were just going through the motions. And like the White Rose says, he fell asleep. Trump fell asleep.
Yeah.
Why would you put your best into it if the guy's going to be sleeping through it?
Right.
And I swear, one of them had their helmet facing to the left, like it was crooked. I'm like, come on, bro, tighten up your damn chin strap. You know what I mean? Tighten the fucking strap up, man. Just take a couple seconds to tighten that goddamn strap
But
up.
they didn't give a fuck because it's a joke. You know, when you
I
don't
will
give a
say-
fuck, why would you care? You know.
Realizing that this was Army, not all branches, but just thinking about like with as sloppy as some of the footage I've seen showed, the bits and pieces. What would the gunny from Full Metal Jacket have said about it?
Arlie
You know,
Army.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Johnny would have, woof.
But
you know-
I don't. Was it totally Army? Because I saw an overhead view, and it looked like on the overhead view that there was Navy. There was sailors in the parade.
Yeah, I thought I saw some blue jackets there also.
Yeah.
There
So-
might have been. I just knew it was based on the Army's 250th.
Right, but it wasn't all Army. Like I saw sailors from the looked like a drone view or whatever. I saw because it's a dead giveaway, like the white uniforms
Right.
are dead giveaway.
But if you are doing this parade of military might, why wouldn't you showcase every single branch?
Right.
You know what I mean? Not just one. It doesn't make any sense to me. I
Right.
think maybe Pete had too much, I don't know, Jimmy Walker Red the night before and couldn't get this thing going the way it should have.
You
Well,
would highlight the Army, but like you would have the other branches participate. Right?
You would think.
Sensical to me.
I would have every branch imaginable there.
Right.
They would be sharp as a fucking tack, and anybody who was out of line would be dismissed that day, and they would be, I don't know, cleaning up the horse shit on First Avenue. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there you go.
That's how they do it in the military. If you can't get it right, I'm gonna give you something to do. So since you still are enlisted and you still here, when those horses walk by in the parade, I need you to scoop that and put it in this bag.
Right.
Since you can't march in a straight fucking line.
Exactly.
Or sweep the shade.
Would you say sweep the shade?
Yeah. I saw that one in a TikTok a while ago, and a lot of vets were like, "Yep, been there, done that, been there, seen that."
Sweep the shade. I love it.
Yep, go out, sweep all the sun into the shade, or all the shade into the sunny part. You can't stop till you're done.
Oh my God, that is Eric, that is the best thing I think I've heard in the last 2 weeks.
It kind
Just
of
hope what I
screwed up.
happened. But
That just took me back to basic training when he said that.
go out and mop the rain. Pure busy work for the sake of busy work.
Mop the rain, yeah. Yeah, I've cut grass when it was raining before, and I had to have a straight line. Trust me, I get it.
With a pair of scissors.
Yeah, I had to do push-ups with cow ants that'll fucking bite you, right? And you better not flinch. Yeah. TJ, I don't know if you know what a cow ant is, but it's red and black and velvet, and they've got a stinger unlike any other.
A what?
A stinger. They
No.
will sting the shit out of you.
What was it? What was it?
It's called a cow ant. Look it up.
Cow ant?
Cow, C-O-W, ant.
A cow ant.
Yes.
Okay.
They're red and black, and they're velvet and fuzzy, and they were plentiful in Fort Benning, Georgia.
Well, when I go out in the sun, I'm red, but I'm never black.
Well, you're not a cow ant to the ground either.
Like, I go out in the sun, I'm red as fuck, but I'm never black.
Well, I tell you what,
I
those
try. I
cow.
try to be black, but it doesn't work.
Well, the first time you get bit by one, you'll know what it is. You can hear them, you can feel them walking by you.
Oh,
Stay the fuck
I don't
away
want to
from
be
them.
bit by one. I'm going to avoid that.
thanks.
Yep. So if he tells you to drop down and give you 50 because you missed a step and there's like 17 cow ants right there in your face, hey, you just got to do it. So when people talk shit about the military, I get upset because I got bit by cow ants.
Yeah, I'd be upset too.
And then the guy who wants his parade never got bit by a cow ant.
No,
He got bit by his
yeah,
own
bones.
fur. That motherfucker got bit by.
Fuck that dude, man.
Yeah, fuck him.
Yeah. I mean, part of me was hoping the rain would have just negated the parade, but I think what actually happened ended up being better. The lackadaisical attitude, the low crowd, him falling asleep,
All of that.
way better than it getting rained out.
Yeah, it's a joke.
Think about the optics now, right? The optics of this thing, especially with the rain hitting it. Oh, I love that for him.
But the best part about it is it's all caught live on video. The lack of participation in the whole thing.
Yep.
That's amazing. Like, it's all caught on video, and he had his big sad face on because he knew it was a joke from the whole get-go of the whole fucking parade.
TJ, he said it's his party and he'll cry if he wants to.
Actually, I made that joke with Rebecca earlier today. The same fucking joke. Because it's true. It's his party, and he'll cry if he wants to.
Yep.
And he cried.
Did you
And he
see?
sweat. And he cried.
Did you see the report from the Atlantic, where the reporter was asking him about the Iran-Israel deal and us backing Israel and how that fits into America first? And he comes back with, "Well, I coined the phrase America first. America first is whatever I say it is."
Oh, imagine that.
Yeah, typical Donnie, right?
So kind of like Netanyahu jumping on a private plane to Greece after he starts a fucking war with Iraq. telling his people, hey, be strong.
Yeah,
Israel first.
Exactly.
I mean, he better be careful with that foreign travel, though. Depending on where he gets caught, isn't there an international criminal court
Yes.
warrant out for it?
There sure is.
Absolutely.
Well, obviously, Greece is okay with it. Oh, TJ, did you hear that two of your favorite people are stuck in Tel Aviv right now?
Who?
You got Caitlyn Jenner
Oh,
and Scott Jennings are both tied up in Tel Aviv right now. They can't get out.
I'll send help right away. I'll fucking send help right away.
Yeah, you'll get on that in the next couple weeks, right?
I'll be right on the horn to help those motherfuckers out.
TJ will be right on that right after Donald Trump releases his health care plan.
All right. It'll be like 2 weeks.
The one from 2016, you mean?
Yeah, it'll
Yeah.
be like 2 weeks, and then I'll be helping them out.
You're right. Well, Scott Jennings deserves all of that. Why the fuck is he over there anyway?
I don't know. That's ridiculous.
And better yet, why is he over there with Kate, whatever the fuck her name is?
It's so fucking funny. You know, that whole thing, let's talk about that for a second. The whole premise about, like, the right-wing fucking condemnation about trans people, but Caitlyn Jenner is part of that fucking movement.
That's my whole entire point.
Yeah,
Like,
The- it-
that's the whole thing. Like, they hate trans people, but they accept that. How does that make sense?
We were talking about that on See Temptations Live. The exact same thing, like 15 minutes ago.
That makes no fucking sense whatsoever.
Nope.
no, it actually it does kind of make sense because they think that, well, I'm part of the movement. You know, I'm gonna be safe. I'm with them. I'm with MAGA. I'm safe. They will never come for me. And then look what happened, like with the Latinas for Trump gal, learning the hard way that, oh shit,
Yeah.
no, they're coming for me too. I was just a useful idiot.
Yeah, she got it right in the ass.
Right. Like the Cuban guy, the Cuban president for Cubans for Trump, came out today and said, hey, we thought he was going to take away all the criminals and blah, blah, blah. But that's not the case, and we feel betrayed. Well, absolutely you do.
Yeah,
Right.
walk around and find out. You found out he's a racist piece of shit.
Even with the South
Well-
Africans that came over, now they got a whole Facebook group and they're talking shit about, well, we didn't get the credit card, we didn't get the money, we didn't get
There
this.
is no, that doesn't exist.
None of that shit exists.
Yeah,
Now they want to go back, but they can't go back because their president says, oh, no. You betrayed our country.
Go figure. Just another group of people Donald Trump fucked over. The list keeps growing. And yet a certain faction of this country will continue to support him. Look at the farmers here. He's fucked them every chance he gets
right.
with his trade wars, and then they turn around and they're still cheering for him.
It's hilarious.
It is hilarious. And then now you guys got the whole, well, we're not going to raid the farms anymore or the
Hospitality.
hospitality places because, they have to stay in business, Well, and some of them are documented, some of them are not, but hey, we're not going to worry about that.
And once again, Donald Trump chickened out on something. He backed out.
Paco.
He backed out.
Yeah, he's Paco, man. Like, it's hilarious. Like, let's be clear about this. And we talked about it at the beginning of the live, and Trucker wasn't here or whatever. But mass deportations are over. They're over.
Basically.
It's fucking done. Because
That was my next question. I was going
Yeah.
to say, okay, so now what happens, right?
we don't know, but it's like mass deportations are over because Donald Trump just fucking conceded the whole fucking thing. He said,
Because
"Oh well, we can't attack these farmers. They're hurting because they're employees." Like we all knew that. Every motherfucker in here, fuck knew that if you fucking go and raid farms and fucking deport everybody who's working there, that we're not gonna have any goddamn food.
Right.
We all knew that. We're not stupid.
Look, and all the while you got Stephen Miller dry heaving.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Joseph Goebbels didn't know it, but we did. You know?
we called it. We've been talking about it.
Absolutely, we called it. And now all of a sudden Donald Trump's like, oh, well, we can't deport these people that work on the farms and in the hotels. That's where all these people work. You fucking kidding me?
What was it? Wasn't it also food service that he exempted too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the three main industries.
Restaurants, hotels, and fucking farmers. That's all of them.
So
Like-
what's left?
Construction is about the construction mechanic, those kind of jobs. That's about what's left.
Well, the construction, if they want to deport them, that's fine. All the fucking condos in Florida can be destroyed because they're not getting finished. Like, that's fine by me.
Well, I don't know, TJ. There's a new movement now, right? I saw it earlier, and I saved about 5 videos. So now the Latinos that are doing construction, they all have blonde wigs they put on. I'm not bullshitting.
That's hilarious.
They all wear blonde wigs now.
I
Oh my
hope
god!
at least it's a mullet. It
No,
has to be a mullet. If it's not a mullet,
Yes.
I'm not down with it.
They call it the Kentucky mudslide. Yeah.
Right. That's the whole thing. Like these millions of people, like it's the farmers and the food service industry and the hospitality and hotel industry. Like mass deportation is fucking over today. It's over. It's done. Like there's no one else. They can go out and round up the construction guys, and that's fine. Like if you want to do that, cool. Well, like guess what? The developers are going to lose billions of dollars.
Exactly.
Fucking hilarious.
And then he's going to complain or she's going to complain, and then they'll come back.
It's going to be hilarious because in Florida and in Texas and all these other places where they're building all these condos, it's done. It's game over. So go ahead. Like you can protect, all of it except for that. But if you protect the construction industry too, then guess what? It's done.
Oliver's mom said McDonald's would have to shut down.
In some places, yes.
I mean, let's be real. Like the whole thing, the whole premise of what they're doing is over because of Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He's still going to defend it in court. He's still going to keep pushing it, trying to get the green light to do it the way he wants, which is just grab anybody he wants, say you're deported, throw them on a plane, and out the door you go. And the MAGA supporters are going to sit there and go, yeah, that makes sense, when they don't realize that they could be one of the ones that gets rounded up. And how do you prove you're a citizen if you don't have due process?
Well,
Their
which is
supporters
stupid.
don't realize what any of it means.
No. Which is stupid because he said he's going to deport all the criminals. Okay, fine. That's cool. But he didn't do that. And now he realizes it's a big fuck up. Like, so all these people he deported, they're not criminals. They're not, in violation of other than a civil offense, right? And they've been here for 20 years working on farms. I think it's hilarious that they were so stupid to raid fucking farms. That's fucking comical to me.
Again, it's just a group of people that doesn't know what they're doing, don't know shit
Right.
about shit.
Exactly. And so
And-
now, go ahead.
The whole thing with these deportations and everything, he has spent more money and has gotten worse results than Obama or Biden, and they've turned around and gotten nothing out of it. And now he chickened out and he backed out and said, "Oh crap, we fucked up."
And that's my
But
point.
he didn't quite say it that way because he can't be wrong.
Right. But it's all optics, right? I mean, you're exactly right. Obama and Biden both got out more migrants than they did.
Yeah.
But you didn't see it because it all went through due process, the courts, and blah, blah, blah. It wasn't some renegades, Proud Boys coming through your house, kicking a door in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
the thing that makes me sad is that there's been children that were separated from their parents
Again,
the second time around, Eric. And so like that whole thing makes me I feel badly about all that. Like there's no reason why children should be taken from their parents.
No.
no, they shouldn't have been. But
And there's
never
no reason a 5-year-old girl should have what are those things? Bungee, not bungee, but
Zip ties.
zip ties on her whilst he's patting her down and put him in the back of her fucking police car.
Yeah,
Come on.
but I can say this. When the midterm elections come, there's going to be, and the committees change, because we goddamn know that the Democrats are going to fucking sweep the House. I don't know about the Senate, but for sure, but they're going to sweep the House without a doubt.
Yep.
So all the committees will change. And when that happens, there's going to be hell to pay for all these unlawful fucking things that have happened.
You're right, because Mike Johnson even mentioned that, right? 2 days ago,
yeah.
Mike Johnson says, we have got to get focused again as a republic because the midterms are coming up. And if we don't win the midterms, President Trump
Going to
won't
jail.
go 2 terms. Yeah.
Yeah, they said he came out and said they fully expect Donald Trump to be impeached if Democrats gain the House back again,
Yep.
which probably would happen.
Yes.
And what they need to do is have full hearings on all of this shit out in the open. Unfortunately, because the way media is disseminated now, it's not like it was with Watergate and
Right.
Nixon, where you had 4 channels, 3 or 4 channels, that's all you had, and every channel covered the Watergate hearings and all, like, it was nonstop coverage. People can opt out of it. So I don't know how you get that message out to everybody so as many people as possible can hear it, but it needs to be out in the public sphere. Everything needs to be laid bare.
Right.
And, you know,
Well,
especially.
Here's my prediction about the midterms. The Democrats sweep the House. Absolutely, they're going to be in control. I don't believe that the Democrats will control the Senate, but they will be within maybe 2 votes, 1 to 3 votes, right? So they'll have 1 to 3 seats, but they're in the minority. However, I think that there's enough smart-minded Republicans that if the impeachment passes the House, they'll get the votes in the Senate to impeach Donald Trump and remove him.
There we go.
Possibly, and I think it depends entirely on where a few key players land. Now, Mitch McConnell will be gone.
Yep.
Yeah, he'll be out of the Senate. Which, depending on who runs to fill that seat, I haven't heard if Bashir out of Kentucky wants to run for it. As an elected statewide Democrat, he may have a chance at being elected. It's possible.
I thought Mitch is handing his seat down to someone else, this other tall, skinny guy.
He might be trying to pick his replacement in the last weeks or so. But his seat's up for election, I believe, in 26. Right. So even if they pick a replacement, they'd only serve till January 3rd of 27. There'd still be an election for it.
Yeah, but
person.
doesn't the governor appoint the seat if he leaves early?
But only till the end of the term. It
Right.
doesn't start a new term.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure Mitch is up for re-election though in 26 regardless.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
even if they appoint somebody, they'd only serve out till 27, and then they have to win re-election.
Gotcha.
Maybe Bashir runs for Senate. Maybe that seat flips. There's already talk of a primary challenger for Joni Ernst here in Iowa, and after her comment of when talking about people dying from the food stamps and the Medicaid cuts, she goes, "Well, everyone's going to die anyway."
Yeah, we die anyway. I mean, what's the
She
difference?
might be in jeopardy. It's entirely possible.
I don't know about that because Christy Gnomes was a dog unaliver, and look where she is.
Well, but she got appointed in by Donald Trump. That's a big difference. That wasn't an elected position.
True. Oh, speaking of elected positions, not to cut you off, Eric, but you guys got to pay attention to this. Marjorie Taylor Greene says she wants to run for governor of Georgia.
She should.
flipped again?
She should. Fucking A, yeah. He should run for governor of Georgia.
I will 100% endorse her candidacy.
I'm down for her to run for governor.
Oh my God, that's
Because
what
I know
she
she
is.
won't win.
I'm fucking. I'll even contribute to her fucking campaign funds. I will.
$5.
Fuck yeah! I'll give her $2.
If she does run, there is no way. I don't see it happening in Georgia. Georgia is shifting purple. That there's any way she could win in a statewide race.
And that would mean she would give up her seat, correct?
Yeah.
As far as I know, I don't think she could run for both.
Exactly.
I could be wrong about
I think that those elections line up. So no.
Well, yeah, she's in the House, so she's up for re-election every 2 years.
Yeah,
But I don't think she can. I think if she decides to run for governor, she would have to not run for re-election in the House,
right.
which would then mean, hey, even if we get another Republican, we at least get anybody better than Marjorie Taylor Greene.
There's no way it could be worse. How could it be worse?
It can't.
It can't fucking be worse.
Unless they have two toes
Exhibit A.
instead of three.
Lauren Boebert. Exhibit B, Donald Trump.
Right.
You asked for worse.
Yeah, it can't be worse.
I gave you two that are worse.
I don't know, bro. That's a toss-up, Eric, because hand job Boebert, and then you got Trump, and then you got MTG. Did you see the photo she put up today after those two representatives in Minnesota was unalived?
No, I didn't.
Well, she put up a photo of her with an AR and all this, basically insinuating that, hey, I've got the same power that this guy had.
Uh-huh.
She is the lowest of the fucking low, period.
Yeah, and the right wing is running with it, trying to make some big deal about it because he had been appointed to a bipartisan committee by Governor Walz.
He was a staunch Trump report, and he's into Christian nationalism, so that means absolutely nothing.
She doesn't scare me. I built a new AR yesterday, so whatever.
Yeah.
TJ, come get me.
And, Democrats need to start tooling up for the midterms now. They need to be gearing up, getting ready, getting their players in line. They can flip the House pretty easily if you ask me.
So let me ask you this, Eric. You and TJ are some of the brightest political minds that I know.
I don't know about that.
No, you guys are.
No.
You hide behind the tattoos, but you're pretty.
I know a few things, but I'm not nearly as sharp as Eric.
Who exactly? I'm so glad that you sent me this live because Eric doesn't go live that often. But anyway,
I kind of talked him into it.
Yeah, you twisted my arm a little bit, TJ.
just a little bit. Who should we run? No, none of us. We talked about this on our live the other night. Like, who do we put out there? You know what I mean?
JB Pritzker.
It's too early to declare a front runner. I will say this right now: whoever the Democrats pick, we need to not. And I know the whole primary situation, happens the year of the general election. So I mean, we're waiting until 28 to formally pick a candidate. But we need to not coalesce behind anybody,
I agree.
because whoever it appears that our leadership is, our biggest leaders, are going to get drugged through the mud, and every candidate in House elections, Senate elections, and the midterms are going to be tied to whoever it is. Whether that appears to be Gavin Newsom, whether it appears to be Kamala Harris, whether it's Andy Beshear, whether it's J.B. Pritzker, whoever that is, they're going to try to tie everybody to it, and then we can bounce. Seeing how that works, I would say they need to look at it and go, okay, well, they tried to tie everybody to J.B. Pritzker or Newsom or whoever, and it didn't work, and they still won their races. Now, maybe they build that up for some momentum and get them going into the 28 or primary season. But we got a deep bench. You got J.B. Pritzker. You got Gavin Newsom. I'm on the fence about, but he's got some potential. And this whole thing with L.A. right now is putting him on the charts nationwide more than he was before. It's bringing him back around in the spotlight. He's got potential. You still got Kamala Harris, who I think could potentially be another candidate, and have given her another chance to run on a full primary situation as the last sitting Democratic vice president. She could be good. You got Andy Beshear out of Kentucky. Somebody mentioned John Ossoff out of Georgia.
Yes.
He's an up-and-coming star. You got Pete Buttigieg, who is able to make inroads on Fox News, and he keeps coming back, and they never make him look foolish. He might be able to do that.
There was a guy, I think, named Ware or something like that. They talked about him the other day.
That's not one I'm familiar with, but there's so many people that could run. You got potentially a Big Gretch out of Michigan.
Love her.
People are still saying Tim Walz. He might have a shot. Shapiro out of Pennsylvania. I think whoever runs, they need to pick one of the blue wall states, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. Somebody from one of those needs a bigger name from those, like one of those three maybe, should probably be on the ticket, either at the top of the ticket, the VP, one or the other, to help bring back the blue wall and make sure we carry the swing states.
Right.
You had an interesting point, and none of us talked about that on my live, that they will be drugged through the mud, because everybody was saying, hey, Trump ran for 4 years, right? He was running for 4 years, blah, blah, blah. But you're absolutely right. If we put somebody out too early, then we'll get tired of that, and they'll drag him through the mud or drag her through the mud, and there it is.
Yeah, well, and it could be a good thing. You could turn around and bounce it back if it looks like, say, Gavin Newsom's the front runner right now, and they drag him through the mud, and it looks bad, and we barely squeak out the House. Maybe we only flip the House by 1 or 2 seats, and we don't get that big landslide we were expecting. That should be the wake-up call to the Democrats that Newsom's not the guy.
Exactly.
But if it goes the other way, and they try to drag Newsom through the mud, if he is the front runner in my example, and we turn around and say we overshoot, we overestimate, and we get 10 extra seats than what they were projecting we would flip, okay, we're onto something. Now we've got a way to go here.
I actually hope that it's not Gavin Newsom. It's somebody else, whether it's Pritzker or Shapiro, because I think that Newsom has way too much baggage. And so if it's Shapiro or Pritzker or any of the others, really.
I'm on the fence on Newsom. I think he has the potential to be a great candidate, but again, he's got too many skeletons. But now,
that's what I'm saying. The baggage is too big. Like,
The only reason he's top of my radar right now is because Donald Trump is propelling him with this feud going on
yeah,
over the,
I
over
agree
the
with that.
protest.
I agree with that. But I think in the end, he's not the right choice.
Oh, probably he might not be, but he might be the one that is unofficially uh, tossed out there.
Well,
Uh,
the thing with him, though, here's the thing with him, because you, all three of us, just said the same exact thing. We're on the fence, right? And that's because he had those two podcasts, and we were like, why are you talking to Charlie Kirk? Why are you talking to? And then he decides, hey, I'm not going to run as a Democrat. I'm going to run as a Republican. Oh, Wes Moore, there it is. I'm going to run as a Republican to get all the MAGA votes. And then, boom, they have a riot or whatnot, and now he's back to our side. So, which lizard are we going to get with this guy?
right. Yeah,
So,
that's the thing. Like him kind of being on the fence and some of the stuff he's done is questionable, but you also got to read the room and see where uh, it would be. Now, somebody else up here in the comments suggested, who is it?
optimistic, Wes Moore.
Well, Westmore was the one you were thinking of.
Yes,
Somebody else suggested Jasmine Crockett or AOC, and both potential. They would have potential. I just don't know
they're not ready for that.
if we're ready for it or if they could carry top of the ticket. Maybe if you had the right person at the top of the ticket, they could do what Kamala did and carry the vice presidency. It wouldn't be as big of a deal.
I don't really think that. I don't really think that white supremacist America is ready for that.
But if they're back in, if they're still in the
I'm
VP
just gonna be
role,
honest about it. There's too much racism. If it's not a safe bet.
yeah, I think I've said it before. It probably would be easier to get Pete Buttigieg elected than it would be to get a minority woman elected.
Yep.
Yep.
And
As of
that's
right
on both sides. That's not just the
Yeah.
Republicans. That's
No.
on Democrats and
You're
Republicans.
right about that. Yeah. 100%.
And that's not supposed to be a drag on Pete Buttigieg by any stretch of the imagination.
Right. Well, Pete was my mayor. I live in South Bend, Indiana. He was my mayor. Right. We
And
loved him here.
you know, if you ran, I don't know if you because AOC is kind of becoming their new boogeyman on the right side of things, kind of like how Hillary was. I don't know if you could run an AOC or Buttigieg AOC ticket like that and make it work. I don't know.
Well, she's doing something now that they say is a career ender, and she said today on her live that I don't care. She's endorsing Mamdini, yo something for governor of New York or mayor of New York. And what she was saying in her live was that everybody says if you put your name behind this guy, you're going to end your career. And she's like, I don't care. So she's garnering more and more baggage as the day goes. So I don't know
Right.
if AOC is the right person. I love her to death, trust me, but I don't.
I think she's the right person down the road.
Right.
That's
Well,
nice.
and she might have a role to play in the next Democratic administration.
Bingo. Yes.
You know, bring her in, put her in one of the key secretary positions.
Yeah. That's my like. It's about escalation in your career. Like
Right.
she's a good congressperson, and she might get with the next president get a cabinet appointment, which is a step forward. But
And,
like,
and TJ, she wouldn't have to Google what the position is, right?
yeah, exactly. But like to drop her right into a presidential race, no, I think that's a bad idea.
Yeah, me too. I think she needs
A
to go
really
up the
bad
ranks.
idea.
Yeah, like I said, she's kind of becoming the new right-wing boogeyman like Hillary was. Hillary was a horrible choice. I think the Democrats could have ran
Yeah.
a tree stump. They could have ran a literal tree stump, and probably beat Donald Trump the first time. But instead, they ran Hillary.
And I hate to say it, and it makes me sad to say this, but this next election in 2028, we have to run a white male.
White cis male, by the way.
Yeah.
No, not necessarily. I still think you could run Pete Buttigieg
You think so?
and get him elected. I still think it's possible.
Ooh,
I can't agree with that.
that's tight, Eric. That's going to be tight, bro.
I can't. I can't agree with that. Like, I think that we need to make a safe bet here.
Yep.
Well, it is going to be about winning, but if Donald Trump keeps losing the way he is, I'm looking at history going back to what happened with the only president from Iowa, Herbert Hoover, when he fucked the economy with the Great Depression.
Yes, he did.
Democrats control for 20 years. You know, it's if he fucks the economy as bad as he potentially can, I think you could run as much as I don't want to say it.
Patrice,
You could run you could even run Pete Buttigieg, or and win potentially. And maybe you have to run Pete Buttigieg on the bottom half of the ticket as the VP.
I would agree with that, the VP, but not the actual front runner. Because the potential is what has me scared. You know, when you keep saying potentially, we need a surefire like J.B. Pritzker. This guy gives two shits about Trump. Come get me, right? I love that dude.
I mean, honestly, you want a surefire bet? What we need is, in a way, Joe Biden, but about 25 years younger.
What we need is my honky ass to run for president. That's what we need.
TJ, we do not need. Well, you know what? Yes, we do. And bring me in your cabinet. I'm right there with you, bro.
You're in.
I
You're
got you.
automatically in.
I don't. And look, and I don't want to run the HUD and urban development piece of that bullshit either. I
No,
want.
I'm not going to give you that one. I'll give you a good one.
Give me the ambassador to Hawaii or some bullshit.
Yeah, you got it.
But the reason I say Joe Biden, but 25 years younger, Joe Biden was a moderate Democrat who was running on some left-leaning policies, but not far left. And he just spoke plainly, not a whole lot of, like, he seemed like a safe choice compared to the rhetoric coming out of Donald Trump.
So let me play devil's advocate and ask you this question: do you think that Trump has spoiled it for the what do they call them? Oh, fuck, I forgot the term now. The longtime politicians. You know what I mean? I forget the term, but
What, the legacy politician?
yeah, the legacy. Yeah, the ones that have been in office for over 40 years. You know what I mean?
He has at least
Spoiled that.
spoiled the 28 election for any Republican candidate for president.
Yeah.
Unless they run a virtual unknown who hasn't been really in mainstream politics and picked a side, they if they've been in any sort of mainstream politics, we're going to know where he stood or she stands with Donald Trump or against. MAGA won't take them. And Donald Trump isn't going to let this go with a whimper. He's going to try to run. He's going to try to keep his thumb on the scale. He may try to influence so Don Jr. runs as the candidate.
You know what? Fuck Don
Like
Jr.
that.
Fuck that dude. I'm sorry.
I mean-
Fuck that. That would be the worst thing they could ever do is put Don Jr. as a fucking front runner.
Right. But as long as Donald Trump keeps his thumb on the scale, that he's going to try to determine who runs the next race for the Republicans, and he's going to want it to be himself.
Let Don Jr. run in the next election. He'll get fucking annihilated by anybody.
In the first
He's
2
a
weeks.
fucking clown.
Fuck that dude.
Like, his whole fucking... Listen, I've been in the rock and roll scene long enough to know when you stick your finger in your pocket and rub it on your gums, I know what the fuck that is. I mean, he's a fucking idiot.
He couldn't last
without
2
a doubt.
seconds
I mean-
because they would say that Gavin Newsom took his wife, right?
Right? He's a fool. He's a total fool.
Yes, but Donald Trump is going to try to keep his thumb on the scale of both the midterms, and he's going to keep his thumb on the scale of the 2028 presidential election.
But we already know, like, we basically know that the midterm elections, they're done. They're not going to win the midterm elections. That's a foregone thing already. They're
So
done.
I agree with you. The question isn't whether or not we win the midterms. The question is by how much. And like I said, I think it depends on who is appearing like the front runner is going to be and how much tying any of those candidates to
Okay,
the
so
apparent front runner is
My
going to be.
prediction, my prediction on the House is seven seats. That's my prediction.
I think
We
it's going
win
to be a
by 7
landslide.
I'm thinking 20 or 30 minimum.
Yeah, it's going to be a landslide, and I'll
That's
tell you
that's
why. Tulsa,
okay.
Minimum.
Oklahoma just voted in their very first African American male mayor.
I did see that.
In Tulsa, Oklahoma. There's no way that shit should have happened. That
No.
shows you that people are saying, fuck this. We had 2,169 protests in 20 separate countries today. There's no fucking way that the midterms won't be. If we get half the people to show up that we did today, it's a landslide.
Well,
Well,
but that's
and
just it. Like,
on top of it, Donald Trump's big beautiful bill is flailing right now in the Senate. There's no guarantee it passes the Senate
Period.
at this point. They may bury it, and Donald Trump wants to pass it. He doesn't want to lose, and he's already threatened to primary any of them. Now, how much weight that still carries, I don't know. But if he puts his thumb on the midterm elections and tries to turn people against the incumbent Republicans because he's unhappy because they weren't loyal enough or whatever bullshit he comes up with, they could end up running in some cases. Say he endorses the primary challenger to Joni Ernst in the Senate here in Iowa. Well, now you don't have name recognition, even though, she's only been a 2-term senator now. She's been a senator for 12 years. People recognize the name. When they go to vote, they're going to vote for the name recognition. At least some of
Exactly.
them. Now, if it's John Doe Democrat and, whatever John Asshole Republican, and they don't know who either one is, they may actually have a chance to vote Democrat if he primaries enough of them out.
right.
He is going to fuck the Republican Party in this election and the one coming up, and it wouldn't surprise me if he fucks them hard enough after November, while they in that little 60-day window where they still have control, November of next year after the general. It wouldn't surprise me if they lead the charge to impeach his ass.
Yeah, but Eric, did you see the senior citizens in, I think it was Las Vegas, that came out of the senior citizen center to protest today? Like,
I did not.
there's moment. Like, you had Meemaw out there with her crutches and golf balls at the end of it, or I'm sorry, tennis balls on her walker protesting this fucker today. People are fed up, bro. They're
Oh,
done.
they are. I mean, he's talking cut. He is this big beautiful bill of his is doing the one thing I thought Republicans were too smart to do. And I know smart and Republican doesn't go very far as being in the same sentence, but I always said they were just smart enough to know you don't touch Medicaid, you don't touch Medicare, you don't touch Social Security.
Hands off.
Because that's their voting bloc. The boomers are the biggest Republican safe voting bloc in general, and they show up at every election. They are always there voting. And you're fucking with them now?
Oliver's mom said, and they had no king signs. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Senior citizens that could barely move, getting out of the senior citizens center, saying, "Hey, fuck this dude." You know what I mean? Yeah, I see a change, bro. I see a big change.
The potential is there, and as long as Donald Trump keeps fucking things up like he is on a daily basis, the chance for Democrats to flip huge in the midterms is there.
We can take our country back.
And then we actually have one of the three branches back as far as oversight goes. But I also have a weird prediction. I think if the Democrats do flip the House and the Senate in November of 26, after the results are called and we know how the Senate shakes up, it wouldn't surprise me if you see Clarence Thomas and Thomas Alito both resign and them try to ram through two picks in that 60-day window.
Oh, imagine that.
Yeah.
Because, while they still have control of the Senate to replace them, because they won't get their far-right picks through a democratically controlled Senate.
So what would be why would that make a difference, though? I mean, because Clarence Thomas and Alito are both Democrat. Are you saying because they're old?
They're Republican. Thomas and Alito are Republican.
I'm sorry, yeah, Republican.
Conservative can be.
That's what I meant. I'm sorry, I
They
meant
want to hold
Republican.
those seats.
But they're both in their 70s.
I got you.
So if they resign, they could put somebody in their 40s like Neil Gorsuch and isn't Amy Comey Barrett in her late 30s, early 40s?
Yeah, she's from South Bend.
Yeah. Pick people like that, rush them through, get them confirmed before the Democrats have a chance to take over and say, hell no to that shit.
I got you.
And keep that 6-3 conservative majority so they can hopefully get their shit through. And then Donald Trump would have 5 hand-pointed justices on the Supreme Court that he would hope would back him in all matters.
That's a good point. That's a great point.
Yeah, that's legit.
But it's 4 for 2, right? So he's trying to get a 4 for 2, right? So he's trying to say, all right, we'll get these 2 out of here, put these 2 over here, and then grab 2 more. I got you.
No. Yeah, he's just trying to have 2. That's just the thought I had is he'd get those 2 to resign, bring in 2 fresh faces, push them through within 2 months, because of course they would. Republicans, they hold Democrats to different rules than they hold themselves. Remember, February of an election year was too close to the election to allow Obama a Supreme Court pick. But October was just fine when Ruth Bader Ginsburg died.
Exactly.
And Donald Trump appointed Amy Comey Barrett.
Well, keep this in mind. They're not tickled right now with Amy Comey Barrett because she's starting to lean a little bit to the left. Or I won't say to the left, but to the right of justice. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I know what you're saying. Well, this Supreme Court was handpicked for one. Like the 3 that he put in the first time they were all picked for one reason and one reason only: to overturn Roe.
Yes.
After that, everything else has been a wild card because they didn't think about any of the other issues that could come before the court. We don't. Right. They weren't thinking ahead and going, what else are they going to rule on? And now they're in weird territory, and they're not happy with her because she's voting against their interests in some cases.
Bingo. Bingo. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. And it's great because, like, she actually grew a spine. She's not a shill for the Republican Party.
And that's my entire point, is that why would they put her there? Because they can't really trust her, you know what I mean, to do what they want her to do.
Well, it blew up in their face.
Yeah,
like they thought she was going to be. They thought she was going to be a puppet for the GOP, and they were fucking wrong.
Well, and she was for a little bit until.
Yeah. And then she figured it out. She figured out that she doesn't want to ruin her career. That's what she figured out. I mean, let's be real.
True.
So now she's like actually doing the right thing, which is good. Like, that's good for us that she's doing the right thing.
I mean, realistically, it shouldn't matter which president appoints which justice. In a perfect society,
I agree, but
it
that's
shouldn't matter.
That's not reality.
I mean, if they're doing their job the way it's supposed to go, they are supposed to look at the facts, look at the law, and make a ruling. Problem is, it doesn't work that way. Everybody's got their own views, their own bias, their own tendencies, what have you. And it does matter who appoints them in some cases because you appoint like-minded people to yourself, and it makes a difference. Now, in this case, it's Amy Coney Barrett is, at least on some cases, looking at things a little more objectively, I should say. Same
Right.
with John Roberts. He's kind of been splitting, the fence a little bit, and he's been siding against the Republicans on certain issues because he's worried about his legacy.
Yeah, he doesn't want his legacy to be fucking garbage, and that's where they're headed.
Exactly. So, Eric, let me ask you this: do you think that they will expand the bench?
No,
I'm on the fence with expanding the Supreme Court. I understand why you would want to do it.
it's not going to happen.
If they were to do it, there's the only way I think they should do it is move it to 13. As a graduated thing, make it like 2, and then 4 years later 2 more, something like that, with a guarantee of not knowing who that next president could be for the next 2 justice appointments. But even then, it becomes a slippery slope because you never know what will happen the next time a Republican is in the situation like Donald Trump is in right now, where he's got the presidency in both chambers. They could, in theory, if they wanted to, they could attempt to increase it to 13 now, and he
Right.
would get 4 picks. They're only being held in place by the fact that they're scared that then the next time Democrats are in control, they would add 4 or 6 or however many it would be to balance the court back the other way. And we don't want to get into a situation where every 4 years when the presidency is flipping parties, that we're adding 2 or 4 more justices.
Exactly. That's my whole
We
point.
don't need a ridiculous number of opinions in there. 9 is not a bad number. But 13 with 1 for every circuit, I could see that maybe working. That's the only reason I could see 13.
1 for every circuit.
Yeah.
That's I can see that.
There are 13 appellate courts below them. Each one would be in charge of 1 division, not having the overlap that we do now.
And that's viable, and that makes sense, but they're not going to do it.
So TJ, now that you see why I say you guys are 2 of the smartest political minds that I talk to.
I'm just a plumber, bro.
Get the fuck out of here, bro.
That's all.
You just appointed
I'm
me
a
to your
fucking-
cabinet. No, you appointed me to your cabinet. You're not a fucking plumber.
I appreciate, you saying that, but I'm just a regular guy.
I get smarter every time I talk to you guys, so that's what it is.
I look at a lot of things. I try to see big picture, and I try to also look at things like I was telling Mike one of the last times I was on the podcast.
Right.
I try to not be excited about a lot of things and look at, okay, what is reasonable, what can actually happen within the confines of the existing framework, the existing law, what have you, and not get swept up in the, oh my God, this could happen mentality. Like I saw something with this case out of, is it Rockford, Rock Island?
Illinois?
Rockland,
Rockland,
New York.
Rockland, New York, about the voting in
That's
2024, claiming that Kamala actually won.
yeah. It's Eric. That's moving forward.
Oh, I know it's moving forward, and I'm excited to see what happens about it. Like, don't get me wrong, I want to see what they come up with and if there's any legitimacy to this and what comes out of discovery.
Right. Well, I hope
Where I
that
draw the line-
whatever comes out of Discovery puts Elon Musk in prison.
It can put him in the process for criminal charges.
Yeah.
And maybe even on state level charges where Donnie can't save him.
Well, he won't go to prison because the rocket blew up.
Well,
on the way back.
Eric. Elections are administered by states.
True.
So any fraudulent things that happen in elections will be under the purview of state law.
True, which means no federal pardon.
Right. So Donald
Yeah,
Trump,
but how can you prove it though, TJ, when his fucking rocket blew up into space?
well,
We got to
his,
see what.
his phallic rocket that blew up doesn't mean shit. And it's charged under New York state law. I'm just telling you.
But
Well, I'm saying because the rocket had all the proof in it, right? The satellite had all the fucking proof.
Oh yeah, but you know,
yeah.
there's
The other thing with it though is, well, I want to see what proof comes out and what discovery brings with all of it. I draw the line at getting too excited. There are people on here saying, well, if they prove this case, that means Kamala Harris will be,
no.
Trump will be out on his ass, Kamala will be president. No, that's not how that works. There is no mechanism for doing that.
It doesn't.
I wouldn't even want it that way. I would I would rather
doesn't work
prove it.
that way. There's no mechanism in the Constitution to allow for that to be overturned and for
Exactly.
her to be president. There's
That's
no.
that's where I don't get too excited. I'm more excited about what comes out because anything that they can prove during this case, can lead to criminal charges for those involved. And the lower level minions always sing on the higher ones to get a deal.
You goddamn right they do.
But that's the silver lining about the whole thing. Think about the big picture. If let's just say for the sake of conversation, and I don't like to be a conspiracy theorist. I hate that. But for the sake of conversation, let's just say that something went wrong, right? And since the elections are under the purview of states, if somebody committed fraud, they would be charged in a state court.
Right.
Right.
So Donald Trump will have no fucking say over what fucking happens with anyone who's has charges filed against them. He can't pardon them. He can't do jack shit about it.
You can't do shit about it. Nothing.
So all that will be not only filed in state court, but it will be under the purview of the public because a lot of state courts, like my state, you can have cameras in the court and they can film the whole fucking receipt.
Oh yeah.
Beautiful.
Now they may say no in that depending on who's all on trial. The judge may say no because of the case, but that's again depends case by case basis.
Right.
In
my state, I don't think that's even legal. Like all court cases pertaining to major crimes are available to be seen. I don't know if all of them. I don't know if it's like.
TJ, here's the thing, TJ. Sooner or later, we got to pull the curtains back, and we just got to watch what's going inside the window. You know what I mean?
And whatever comes out of it, however it comes around, the big thing is it's going to be brought to light. Some people are probably going to be facing criminal charges. They're going to be brought around to do, to task. They'll be offered deals. They'll sing on the people above them. And so that's all coming out. That will start a snowball effect as people know things. But then what we learn from how they tampered with this election, if there was tampering, and they can prove it, then that means we can shore up and fix those issues going into 26 and into 28, so it doesn't happen again.
I told Rebecca this. You guys remember when I forget what state it was. I think it was Colorado. Maybe I'm wrong about this, but there was that woman that got prosecuted because she let someone into the election place where they
Colorado.
machines.
That's Colorado.
Yeah, I thought I was right about Colorado. So she let someone in there and they compromised the machines, right? So nobody knows what happened about that. Like in reality.
Tina Peters.
Yeah, Tina Peters did that. Exactly. Tina Peters did that and had no idea. We have no idea what happened. My only deduction that I can take from that is that they copied the software that's on that machine, right?
Entirely possible.
And so somebody got a copy of that. So I told Rebecca the other day, I'm like, Smartmatic and Dominion need to go out today and redesign their software from the bottom up. Completely redesign their software because somebody got a hold of that software, and I think that there was something that went wrong in this election because none of it makes any sense to me.
Well, TJ, you had a whole mail carrier who threw away ballots, and what do they call them? Mail-in ballots, because she didn't think they were correct. She's in jail now,
Right.
right? That just happened.
Yeah.
Well,
And I understand that, but like somebody compromised this software, and so
I see what you're saying, TJ.
and so I think that Smartmatic and Dominion should be propositioned to rewrite all their software because somebody somewhere got copies of that
Oh, I'm
algorithm.
sure they already have. There's no way they didn't. You know what I mean? Especially
They
without all the
might,
lawsuits
But
and
did
everything.
they? But no one knows that they did that. Like
right.
you can go with the presumption that they did that, but I think that like people should petition them and say, "Listen, you guys need to reevaluate what you're doing here."
No, I agree. But I mean, if you think about the lawsuits with Dominion and $900 million on Fox, if they didn't change their software, shame on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but they're a corporation, T. They don't want to spend any fucking money.
Yeah.
The only thing they care about is profits for their shareholders.
True.
So if it costs them, you know, $1 billion to redo their software, they're not going to spend it. They're not going to spend it. So I think that people should petition them and tell them, hey, you need to reevaluate your software. And if they do that, if Elon got in there somehow and can manipulate their software, if they build it from the bottom up, he can't do that anymore. And I wholeheartedly believe that Elon Musk has access to that shit right now.
110.
It wouldn't surprise me if he did.
Yeah, so they need to do something about that. And that's why regular people like you and I, Eric, Trucker, all you guys need to petition them, send them an email and say, hey, we're not happy with the way that things are going in this country. We think that these things are getting violated and we need to have you guys update your software from the bottom up. I think that's a fair thing. I think that's a fair thing to ask them.
Yeah, well, and for those who are catching this, what TJ's saying is basically starting from the ground up, and the reason would be doing some kind of just a patch or an update might not catch all the vulnerabilities. You don't know for sure what's there or what other vulnerabilities they might be found. If you rewrite everything from the ground up, you guarantee that everything is even if you just use a lot of the same stuff by changing your code just enough, most of the work is already done.
Right. And I'm not a software genius, but you know what? I took AP computer science in high school and I was a programmer. And my brother, my younger brother, not my older brother who's in here, my younger brother is a software engineer. And so you can't just amend the software with a patch or a change, like minor changes. You got to build it back up from the ground up to keep out these bad players, because I wholeheartedly believe that there's a worm or there's something going on with the software where Elon Musk is involved in it. And Trump admitted it. I mean, he admitted that the election was rigged.
No, I agree, TJ. I don't want big balls having all
No.
information. You know what I mean?
I want big balls to fucking be at the end of a rope, but that's just my opinion.
And with what Musk said in a couple of different cases, he said, what somebody say before, that he said if Donald Trump didn't win, he'd be going to jail.
Right. That's
And
what
then
I'm
he
saying.
came out, and during his feud with Donnie, he said that Democrats would have the House
51-47.
51-47 in the
Yes.
Senate.
That's what I'm telling you guys. There's something
TJ,
wrong.
I told you that on
There's
my
something
live.
wrong.
Remember?
with the voting machines.
51-47. I told you that stood out to me for some reason, and I will never forget it.
And that's what I'm telling you guys. There's something wrong with the voting machines and the software. And we need to fucking make a coalition and tell these motherfuckers at Smartmatic and Dominion that they need to build up their software from ground zero up.
No, I'm right there with you,
No
brother.
Starlink. Starlink, fuck that. No more
Exactly.
Starlink.
Nope, I'm right
All
there
right,
with you
well-
100%.
Even though we only have a few people in here, I just got my first flag, so I'm gonna
Yeah, I got it too.
I
I'm
didn't
gonna go
get
ahead
it.
and wrap it up. And we've
All right.
also got about 2 hours, so we're
Yeah,
not planning on
in the morning,
not
these
even
things are-
planning on doing a live
Oh,
tonight.
you know why you got the flag? Because we start talking about the machines. That's why.
Yeah,
Probably.
that's why.
But for not even planning on doing a live and getting my arm twisted by TJ and still getting 2 hours out of it, I think we did pretty good. For those of you watching, this will be up on my YouTube page later, probably tonight or tomorrow. Analytical Iowan over on YouTube. You can catch all my TikToks and some other content over there as well. And I'm going to try to do more lives more often, get back into doing them now that hopefully my schedule's a little bit more straight and I won't be working nearly as many late nights. So thanks, Flo.
Don't you guys think it's hilarious that as soon as we started talking about that, we got flagged?
Exactly.
It is ironic.
Well, hey, Eric, make sure if you do go live, send me an invite because I want to be there, sir.
Sounds good.
And if he doesn't, I pay attention, so I will.
Gotcha.
All right. Well, I will catch you guys later, and everybody else have a good night.
All right, Eric. Bye.